it's essential as an efficient plan for maintenance. It has to fit around the day-to-day availability requirements and also special events. You want to avoid having train stop for maintenance on a weekend in our case, because we operate predominantly a leisure train operator. So weekend breaks to London, clearly talking about non-COVID times, but being able to run a 10-car formation, have an additional train on a weekend when there's race meetings at York or whatever. So you need to be agile, and you need to plan your maintenance around the service requirements and maximise the opportunities for generating revenue when we know that there's periods where there's special events going on. There's been quite a long-term relationship between T&RS Engineering and Grand Central. T&RS Engineering have been quite closely involved with the Class 180s over recent years, not just doing work for Grand Central, but the other operators of Class 180s as well. Hull Trains had some of the Class 180 fleet for a period, and T&RS supported them. So they've got the right level of experience and knowledge of Class 180s. And there's kind of a natural fit between Grand Central and T&RS Engineering because of the size of the two businesses. We're both quite small compared with the peers within the rail industry, similar and quite geographically located. Grand Central in York and T&RS Engineering in Doncaster. So it's a relationship that works quite well for both companies, I would say. I don't know if Richard agrees with that.
Definitely, yeah. We've had a very strong relationship over recent years, and we always try and work flexibly, which is the way that it works well for us and it works well for Grand Central working like that. And as Dave said, we've actually learned a lot over the years with the Class 180s, with doing various different maintenance projects on those over the years. So we try and keep that knowledge within the business and use it going forward as well. And that's obviously being used again on this project with having the prior knowledge of what's happened in the past is helps massively. One of the main issues you do find, I think, is usually the business plan to actually undertake the work. You'll find that the engineering teams can see the benefits from an engineering perspective to undertake this sort of project. So they can see there's a lot of opportunity for improvement, and there's a lot of potential cost reduction to undertake, to actually gain. The operations side usually see that there's a lot of opportunity there, but then what you don't want is the engineering team may say, oh yeah, we can get rid of a lot of exam work and we can use that for doing modifications, or we can use that for doing reliability work. But then the operations team say, well, if you've got more availability, we're going to take another one for service. So you've got to make sure that you're actually satisfying everybody's needs, not just one particular department's needs. But usually it's the business case is the hardest thing to actually try and put into perspective where the benefit actually is to the overall business, not just the maintenance team, not just the operations team, but the business, as a whole. And there's obviously different ways of actually trying to present that, and every single company needs it presented in a different way. And we usually try and help our clients in actually presenting that in a way that's right for their needs.
Yeah, I think in the case of this particular project, you're quite interesting because it was driven by a real need to do something. Financially, the business was in a difficult position with no revenue coming in and still a quite substantial maintenance cost base. So there was a real sort of need to find the optimum solution, not just in the short term, but to manage the business recovery. So to make up for the lost revenue over the past 18 months, we need to be more efficient in future years. So this was about setting out for the long term, really efficient maintenance operation that could balance the three things that we talked about: the maintenance cost, the availability and reliability of the fleet. So it wasn't as difficult as it might have been if this was a nice to have in terms of a business case. You know, it's essential, and
Yeah.
you know, we needed to be quite agile and move quickly. So it did kind of help focus people's attention on the money spent up front was going to provide dividends, and particularly, as I mentioned, support from Angel Trains. You know, it was more than welcome. They could see that this would really help, not just Grand Central, but the quality of the asset that they leased to us, that the quality of maintenance would improve, and that would help the value of their assets. So it was, you know, not as difficult as it might have been to make the business case and get this authorised. I think, you know, we're looking now at how the vehicle maintenance instructions are maintained and updated. So I think, you know, this is a fairly substantial exercise to get the vehicle maintenance instructions in the best form they can be at this point in time. But things, as Richard said earlier, you know, that people often add things into VMIs and you want to take things out in regular review and make the VMIs as sort of agile as you can. So we're looking at potentially using a different platform, a digital platform to manage the VMIs. It's something that Richard and his team have been working on, and we're looking at how we could use that for the Class 180s. So it's far easier to update vehicle maintenance instructions in future and hopefully keep them up to date rather than this every few years you do a complete rewrite to the VMI. You know, it's about small, little and often changes. That's one thing we're looking at present. I think, you know, it is, for me, as from a train operator, you know, it's about collaboration, how people working together. I think, you know, we've noticed that perhaps the culture in the industry has changed slightly. It's less adversarial and less transactional. You know, there is a genuine desire, I think, for suppliers and customers to work together, as we've done on this project, and just bringing the maintenance into one location. So it's, you know, if there's any other examples where train operators, maintainers are working together collaboratively, and what kind of things that they're doing in that space, and so that'll be of particular interest to me. I don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me and my team, it's really about keeping on top of what other people are doing, because I mean, as I say, it's our business to go and provide these solutions to our clients, and obviously knowing what's happening in other areas of the rail industry, nationally and internationally, just keeps the you know, our competence up to date, and you know, and our knowledge, and then hopefully, you know, we can actually feed that into future projects ourselves.